What I would change about Godzilla vs. Kong and Godzilla X Kong The New Empire? This is a long story. This will be a, this is a big one, I will admit, this is a big one. What I would change about Godzilla vs. Kong? Let's start with GBK. I think for starters, I wouldn't have Kong to be the main focus. I would have both Godzilla and Kong to be the main focus, because I know what you guys are going to say. Oh, Super Final Wars, Godzilla was the main focus. No, he was not. He was a side character, and you know it. You know it, I know it, Adam Wingard knows it, shut up. We all know it. But Godzilla was flat out a side character in both Godzilla vs. Kong and in The New Empire. He was no damn main character. So shut up. I would put in a few new monsters, possibly some Dominion monsters, and don't get your hopes up about Godzilla killing them. I will not have Godzilla kill them. Especially fan favorites. Like T-Man and Skila. My god, they were disrespected in that movie. And don't basically be like, oh, they deserved it because they're Destroyer Kaiju. Well, Destroyer Kaiju have their reasons for being Destroyer Kaiju. Did you ever thought about that? No, I'm pretty sure you did not, so shut up. Anyways, I would make the fight scenes a bit longer in Godzilla vs. Kong. And actually, I would make the whole Godzilla vs. Kong movie a bit longer. Maybe like a 2-hour movie. And actually have Godzilla actually stand a chance against Mechagodzilla. Because let's be real here, Godzilla barely stood a chance. And he barely landed a single hit on Mechagodzilla. That was like bullcrap. And I would have Godzilla reveal a new ability. Because you could kind of say, I know what you guys are going to say. Oh, that Hollow Earth beam was a new ability. No, it was not. It was not a new ability. It was just Godzilla making his atomic breath stronger so he could penetrate the Earth and tell Kong to basically shut the hell up. I would not have Madison's dad go through back to that pointless character arc where he basically hates Godzilla because what happened back in King of the Monsters. Yeah, and I would have Godzilla to be the one to kill Mechagodzilla, not Kong. As for the New Empire, I would definitely make Godzilla as another main character, and I would maybe add some flashbacks in both movies, like flashback scenes. So a lot of people were really wanting a flashback scene in Godzilla vs. Kong. Honestly, I am one of them. I would not have Godzilla kill Skila and T-Max. I could go on and on, but basically what I would change is I would add in basically more screen time for Godzilla, flashback scenes, longer fight scenes, and Godzilla getting evolved form, not through killing T-Max, but basically borrowing her energy. Not by killing her, but by asking her, saying, hey, can I borrow your energy? If you let me have some of your energy, I will leave your home in peace. And I would add in a full-on monster war. Like that, and I'll also have Godzilla to have basically the Godzilla 2000 roar. Because do not tell me that design, Godzilla Millennium, don't tell me that design, the freaking evolved form, does not look like a Godzilla 2000 look. I would not I would have Godzilla's evolved form to have the Godzilla 2000 roar. And lastly, yeah, I would add in a full-on monster war. I would add in new monsters and some old monsters and add in a full-on monster war scene. Godzilla's army versus Scar Kane's army. How cool would that be? And I'll make the movie a 3-hour long movie. So, there you go. That's what I would change about Godzilla X Kong the New Empire. So, let's move on. Ooh. This is actually a good one. What is your top 5 favorite stories that you like doing so far? My top 5 favorite stories that I like doing so far? The first one is gonna be Godzilla meets The Inkling of Darkness series. I like how that story's put together the best, and yeah, I like how that story is put together. I like how it was made and how the way I pictured my own Godzilla and Mikasa love story thing. And don't worry, once when I'm done with season 2, I will do a remake of season 1. So don't worry. Because there were some mistakes that I made in season 1, so yeah. Number 2 is going to be Godzilla's Kaiser's Adventures. That is another well-made story that I made, and I really like doing that series. Especially with the current remake that I'm currently making right now. So, yeah, don't worry. Whenever I get the chance to do the remake, I will do the remake. The official, final time I will remake Godzilla Mikasa, not Godzilla Mikasa, Godzilla's Kaiser's Adventures. So, yeah. Number 3 is going to be, honestly, number 3, it is going to be Showdown Between the Godzilla Monsters. I like how that story was well made, how the characters act in that series, and how there's like this big rivalry between 3 alpha Godzillas, and how their teams are just fighting each other, and eventually they have to team up in order to face a greater threat. That was just so amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Number 4, it's going to be, so far, number 4 is going to be Oscar and Ruby, The Return of the King. Oscar and Ruby, The Return of the King is actually another good series that I like doing. Despite having constant updates, it's a well-made series. I really like it. I really like how the way I made that series so far. So, yeah. The last and final story that I like doing is the Godzilla family. I just like how that story has more remakes than all my other stories. Like, seriously, I had to remake that story like 5 times. 5 freaking times, basically. I know it's not really 5 times, it's just 3 times. Well, 2. Yeah, 2. No, not 3. 2 times. I had to remake that story like 2 times. So, I really like the Godzilla family. That and doing the Ask and Dare series was just so damn funny. And it gives me time to do something that you guys really like doing. Like answering dares, doing dares, answering questions. So, yeah. If you could change anything about RWBY Volume 9, what would you do? For starters, I would not make Ruby's friends such assholes to her. Bumblebee will not be canon, but instead, John X. Weiss will become canon. Before you ask, well, how would that work? Because isn't John like the Rusted Knight? Well, this is where I would change it. I would change John to not be the Rusted Knight, and not have him spend like 29 or 39 years in the Ever After. Because to me, that plot was just going nowhere. It was just going nowhere. It went nowhere, and it did not serve the plot of the story. The same thing goes for Bumblebee. It did not serve the plot of the story. Those two arcs of that story, of those two plots for RWBY Volume 9 did not serve the plot at all. It just wasted everyone's time. It made the RWBY fandom even more toxic than there already is. I would have Team RWBY's friends to stand up for her when John was yelling at her, because I was like, when I saw that episode, I was like, why is it no one not standing up for my queen? Why is it no one not standing up for my queen? What the hell? Finally, I would have Neo to go back with the RWBY characters, and I know what you guys are going to say. Well, she had nothing left to go back to, so how would she be able to go back? Well, you do remember that Cinder betrayed her, right? So, basically, there's even a comic that says, that was basically like, you have something to come back for, and that is to kick Cinder's ass. So, yeah. That's what I would change. Oh, and maybe add in a little bit of a Rose Garden moment where RWBY's concerned about Oscar, and Oscar's concerned about RWBY. So, yeah. Moving on. What is the most interesting thing that you decide to make about the Megaverse? What was the most interesting thing I decided to make about the Megaverse was basically how long the Megaverse has lasted. Because normally, certain universes have their own time limit and how long they should stay and all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. So, for me to make the Megaverse the oldest universe out of the entire multiverse, it was just so interesting. And making basically the gods of the Megaverse as basically the most powerful gods out of the entire multiverse was so cool. And really interesting, and I just love doing it. It's something that I personally enjoyed. Sure, I messed up a few things here and there, but I went back, had a talk with King South Reigns Zildhuizen, and I went back on that part, and I fixed my little mistakes, so, yeah. I would personally say the Megaverse is just by far possibly the most successful universe that I've ever made so far, in my honest opinion.